Okay, now I've gone ahead and prepped this piece and this chair, and I didn't add in any extra paper here or here. And you'll see I've put some extra color here. One of the reasons I did that is because depending on what kind of board you're using, you may be using a very thin piece of cardboard or something like that that's really, really thin, like it's only about 1 millimeter thick, and you don't necessarily want to see that. So that's the reason I added that in there. Now, to do that is not difficult. I usually will use a fine tip for this just because it's a smaller piece. But the one thing you want to make sure you're getting before you glue anything down is, and I use the rounded tip, the dot tip for this, is, can you see that white edge right there? That will stick out. It sticks out like a sore thumb. At least I think so. So I come in and make sure that they're covered. I try to do it from an angle or a side where if I goof up and I go across this, no one will ever see it. If I try to do it from this side, I'm going to end up drawing on this, which I don't like. So, yeah, I do that just to make sure that everything is covered. So, and you can see here, I colored on this one and on this one as well. Now, for the cutting, let's get rid of this right here. For the cutting of the arms, you'll notice I didn't put any lines here. I only put them on one side. I put them on this side here. Now, how we're going to do this, because there's a small curve here and a small curve here and a small curve here. Now, we're going to use X-Acto blade. And I'm actually going to cut the straight lines first. And I haven't decided, do I really, really want to use... I think I probably should. I'm going to use the straight edge just to keep my lines. Because it's going to take 1, 2, 3. And I know I'm all the way through. And then I double check on the back. And then you can see I've got that cut there. And I need to be extra careful because I don't want to cut into this. So I haven't even touched the curves yet. I have simply come in 1, 2, 3. And I know I'm all the way through. Okay, now you can see here I haven't cut that curve and I haven't cut the curves here. Let's do this one in the center first. And this is where an X-Acto blade like this will come in handy. You're going to kind of walk it through. And by walking, I mean you're just kind of stabbing it. And then look at the other side. It's kind of like when you were a little kid and you had a wiggly tooth. And you were just kind of worrying at it a little bit. I was one of those kids that like let the tooth hang on until it was like barely hanging on. Okay, so that's cut out. Now, these pieces here, I'm going to do with this one because I'm just going to cut the corner off and then nip a little bit from each side because they're so tiny. And let's just nip that. And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. So, you know, don't feel bad about things. So that you can tell I've gotten those out of there. Then, what I do, where did I put my... Okay, I pulled everything out. Oh, there it is. You can use this, or... Did I put it in here? Yeah, there it is. I have a piece of sandpaper that I've just put around a little dowel rod and just taped it on one end. And I'm going to get rid of that little bit of black line that's there. So when you have the 3 pieces there, it kind of beefs it up a little bit and it'll come out a little easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this a little bit, because paper you don't have to. Can you see I'm kind of just going wipe, wipe, and then, and don't worry, we can use some color to cover up some of that. So let's try that again. Sorry, my nose just started running. It's been awfully dry here, and I think I've gotten a little tiny bit of a cold. Nothing with the temperature, just a little bit of a runny nose. Okay, holding it down firmly. You can see how hard I'm pressing with my fingers on the triangle. Okay. And then remember, always going slow, because I don't want to cut anything else. As I say, oops, because you can see I cut it just a tiny little bit there. Okay. Okay, so there's that one out. And then I'm going to take this knife. I like this one better because I can just cut. I'm just cutting straight down, like I'm cutting off the tiniest little piece of cake there. So you can see what that looks like, and you can see there's a little bit of a burr in there. So where's my, okay, I had it just a second ago. My little piece. Let's get this up here a little bit better. And again, if this doesn't go perfectly, and you really do feel like you've messed it up, you know, irrevocably messed it up, print another one. Okay, so now we'll do a test fold. And you can see how the little chair starts to come together. Okay, so we know how everything's going to fit together. Okay, that's good. Okay, this looks good from the inside. Now, what we need to do now is we need to make this little seat support here. And this, seriously, I don't do any measuring. Okay, I'm going to put it, I want to see, it's like maybe 1/2 millimeter. You can always cut more off, but you can't glue more on. I mean, that's the extent of the measuring. One of the handy bits about having a triangle is all you have to do is line it up with the bottom here. Hold it down. I'm going to cut through these two, remembering to keep your blade. Don't turn it. We don't want it to be a cake that's all uneven. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to see if that fits. Now, the way I test it is I'll put the flaps in. I'll put this up, and then I'll fold it down. And it's like, okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to take a teensy bit off. And you're probably going, now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? The reason why is because I have paper that I'm going to be wrapping around it. If you were simply just putting a piece of paper on the top of it, you don't need to worry about that. But I tend to wrap things around the sides. This is just my personal preference. This is how I like to do it. Let's see, I think that's pretty good. I should have a little bit more wiggle room in here. Yeah, I have some more wiggle room in there. Okay. Now let's get those out of the way. Now when it comes to wrapping this, easy peasy lemon squeezy. I've got a piece of painted newsprint that I use. I think I'll use this little, well, no, I like that one better. Again, I don't measure. I'm going to add some glue. And remember this foam board that you get at the dollar store is like a heavyweight paper. It's not board. So the two pieces of paper will fuse almost instantly. And if you don't want to use your knife, I cut it with about 1 centimeter around the outside. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out these little corners. I just cut straight lines. It doesn't really matter because these corners are going to be hidden. Cut these out. Again, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. And then what I do, I add some glue along this edge. Put a little glue here. I usually do one side and then the other side. Add some glue. Make sure things are evenly spread in there. Oh, I'm so not. I so wouldn't like wipe it on my hand. I'm just trying so hard not to do it. Okay. And I can help to do that so you can see how that has folded down. It's not going to super attach to the foam, but it'll attach enough to the paper so you don't have to worry about anything coming apart. So let's get that together. Where's my little, and we'll just wipe that in. Oh God, I so want to wipe this on myself. And if it turns out you have little pieces that are hanging off the side and they're bugging you horribly, like these are bugging me horribly, I just come in and just snip them off. No one's going to know that they're there. And voila! That's the little piece of foam that will go in the bottom of the chair. And I do a test fit again. Looks pretty good. And the next thing we'll do is we'll glue the chair itself together, meaning let's glue these flaps down and glue in the bottom part. So I'll see you in the next part of the video. Okay, now let's get to some gluing. So I've got a piece of paper covering a little piece of foam. I've got this bottom part already colored in. Okay, I'm ready to glue these down. Now, these are the first 2 tabs that get glued down. And some of you may be wondering, it's like, well, why do you continue the pattern off to the side? Because sometimes when you're gluing things down, they end up going in the wrong direction. Or if someone decided to glue these back pieces down, but then these were still flipped upwards, at least then you wouldn't see them. Does that make sense? Or you wouldn't see them so much. So let's glue these little tabs down. And to do that, I need to get my little toothpick, get that off of there. And again, I don't need a ton of glue. I do like making sure though that I've got just enough on there. And I kind of let it go a little tackier. If you kind of catch my drift here. Gosh, do people even say that anymore? Catch my drift? And I hold it down and I press it down. Okay? And I know this is going to go up, but not yet. Because if I glue this and this, it makes it a little harder to glue this other side. So let's get these 2 tabs, glue the 2 small tabs in first, because it's just easier. You have more access. And again, one would think that, you know, I should have written instructions for this, for these pieces, and I don't know. Maybe I might someday. Right now, I'm just not into that. Oh, that didn't hold. So I need to put it back down and make sure it's where it's supposed to be. And another reason for doing the coloring first is because, oh, itchy nose. Sometimes it's hard to get the color, these markers, to go over the top of the glue. So if there's a little glue poking out, sometimes that can be like, you know, a bit bothersome. Okay, so now this is what our little chair looks like. And this just needs to slide up. Okay, and then these two pieces are going to come in. So I'm going to do one side first. And you need to remember, another reason why coloring all the way to here is a good idea, because you don't want to put glue all the way down here. I only want to add glue to this top portion. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And I'm just putting it where I need it to go. Okay, I think I put a little bit too much on there, so I'm going to kind of wipe some of it off. Okay. And now remember, there's that little fold piece there, so it'll kind of, it's like a little teensy little shelf that you can kind of press this onto. And you notice I've come through here and I kind of pinch these closed a little bit more. And if you need to, go ahead and press down from this side. Okay, now let's do the same on the other side. And remember, I'm not going to add any glue down here. I'm just adding it up here. So I use my pinky to hold that up. Put a little less on there. There, that's enough. Okay, wipe that little bit of glue off. And now I'm going to fold it over and give it a pinch. And like I said, sometimes I'll hold it like this. Pinch it, hold it down, press. Okay. You can also, at this point, if you need to, come in and add, I can only grab one, the little clothespins will help hold things in. If you're doing like multiples and you need, you know, something to hold it down. I hope that that's straight. There we go. That didn't look straight when I tipped it upside down. And it's a little not straight, but that's okay, because I can always clip a tiny little bit off that heel. Okay, so this is what the little chair looks like. Okay, and what we have left to do is this back section. So this is going to glue right onto the back. And I'm going to try something a little different that I didn't do last time. And I'm going to glue it too big on the top portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and glue this like this. So it comes down. I still think I want to design this so these two meet at the back. I just didn't do it in this version. There's always a part of me, it's the portion of me that always wants to redo everything. And I also realized I didn't do something before I cut this out, which was attach it to another piece of cardboard. Which, what's that doing there? That doesn't belong there. And sometimes the pieces are just not the right size. So this is what I do. Let's see, I'm going to find two smaller pieces over here in my little scrap pile. And I'm going to glue them in place like this, because I need this to be 3 thick. So, there's a little bit of glue on that, which means I colored this in too soon. I'm not going to have too much of a heart attack about it. It's just a little paint pen. Okay, you go where I tell you to go. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here, and you might be asking why I'm not using a brush to do this, or, you know, glue stick would be so much easier. I like the strength of this glue. Okay, I like knowing that this is going to hold, and I also make sure I dab a little on the edge, so when I glue it together, the edges get glued together too. So now I have this, and I'm going to carefully come in. I think I can do most of this with this blade. And you're thinking to yourself, why don't you just cut off the bottom? The bottom would be easier one to cut off. Well, it turns out when I was looking at these, this is, again, you're learning how I do these things. What I do is not always completely the most, how should I put it, the most common sense version of this. Because again, you could just fold these and stick them together and leave it at that. I don't like how that black line looks. It really started bugging me. So if I glue it like this and match it up on the bottom, then that means on this side, I can cut off the black line that's up there. That's right here. Did that make any sense? There's some other ways you could do this too. But again, you know, I don't profess to be the best at anything. I'm just showing you how I do stuff. And sometimes it's chaotic and strange. It doesn't make any sense. And why would you do it that way when there's a perfectly capable other way of doing it? Okay. I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue up there. Okay. Flip the chair over. And the ones, the versions you'll be getting, these seams are way better. And you'll notice that, oh my God, I did it again. I am so dumb. I did it again. There's an area back here that's not colored in. Man, I just killed myself. Okay. Now, for those of you who cannot just sit here and hold on to this forever, remember, you can use a couple of these bad boys. And come back here, you little stinkers. I just think that's hysterical. I showed you how to not do that, and then I did it again. There. And then that should hold it. It only needs to be down for a couple of minutes. So let's let that dry. Shall we? And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down and get this one ready to glue together. Color this in again so it looks right. Okay, I'll see you in the next part of the video.